Evening, brothers and sisters. How's everybody doing? Can everybody give me the thumbs up so they could tell me they could hear me perfectly fine before we get into this? JPK. Hell yeah. How's everybody doing? It's a little too late for a time, right? Normally, this stream was actually scheduled for tomorrow. I actually accidentally pressed the 20th instead of the 21st. However, I'm not gonna let it go, let it die out in vain. So therefore, we're here. We're here. Be out here. I'm gonna answer some questions, and I'm gonna tell you guys about some themes that are in the background. That I feel like a lot of people are just not thinking about the same perspective as far as, and it's all related to the reverse stock split that's coming up, the conversion. It could be, but I think everybody needs to at least hear this narrative. It's not a for thing that I'm to. However, it does make some sense when you think. We'll get into that. And plus, tomorrow I have big fireworks, and I'll tell you guys about what that are gonna happen. Market is gonna be market even this week part. Let me show some love in here for everybody that's showing love. I see here Cal L. Yeah, it's past your bedtime. Sorry, but I'm gonna have to keep Luna is in the house. How are you, my friend? And Kenny, the brother is not only the best tag name, he's also the best cook. So up the goop. Mr. McCohen, no, it's not past your bedtime because you don't even got one. How are you, sir? See you around here. Shirley, look at that. Look, their family. How are you, sis? See you in here, and for the kind support. The person that was in here, Mr. Derek. How are you, sir? Morning to you. Let's see, who else do we have in here? AL. AL is speaking in some Arabic too. Don't need much sleep anyway. All right, so we're gonna talk about, like, make sure you guys, if you have any questions, this stream is gonna be answering most of these. We're not gonna keep it, because it is in the morning so far of the new day. But like I said, tomorrow we all gotta be, especially if you day trade, is the day. It's gonna be fantastic day. So my audio is glitching, huh? It's weird. Let's see. Chink. Glitch AB out. So let me close a tab. Maybe it's the tab that I have. Maybe lately it's been Streamlabs. Probably Streamlabs. Because I just closed this tab. So give it about a few seconds here, guys. Check it out. Let's see. Is it still glitching? Mr. John, how are you, my friend? You're in here, and thank you for letting me know that it's improving. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and continue talking. You guys let me know if it's if it's getting better and better. All in AMC. What's up? Your tag name is actually a part of the conversation for the night. So, how are you, my friend? Nice to have you in here. Luna, you see that? They're shorting my live just like they shorted you with the FTX scandal. Oh man. But at least we found you. We got you. We got you back. How about that crypto rally today? Um, Remember I was talking to you guys and a few other family members. Let me know, guys. Okay, Kal-El is saying audio is good here. Maybe everybody else, while you're smashing the like button, go ahead and please also throw a thumbs up in the chat. Let Nabi know that he's actually audio wise is a bit better or understandable so far. AMC heavy, hell yeah. That's the way, my friend. That is the way. That's what a true ape sounds like, right? You guys, when we talk about what we like the theories that I will talk about tonight, this morning, early this morning, you guys will see what I mean by that ape and the thing like this. Thank you guys. Appreciate you so much. Thanks for support, guys. Okay. So, yeah, with the likes, thank you, Shirley. Maybe we could get more and more and more family members in the house. So I remember talking to you guys about, in the past about the crypto itself and how wealth is actually stored in crypto. And in my humble opinion, and this is basically what AB does. Actually, in fact, look at it. Perspective, any currency out there, no matter how strong it is, year over year, with inflationary purposes and decays, you're losing from your wealth. And obviously, some currencies a lot worse than others. And basically, your money is being burnt or dwindling down more and more at a much faster rate. While if you think about it, and this is just like the how you get your feet wet into this conversation. Just thinking right off the top of your, if you thought that by putting your money in Bitcoin, then yeah, by your money, not only will you, but you also will gain. Here's how that basically works. Why that thought actually is the thought. Because, and I'm not here telling people go put all your money in Bitcoin. No. Not too long ago, like a few days ago, this last week, I shared the link and showed the the FBI reaching into these families' accounts and going into their savings box and basically cleaning them all out. Which in that sting operation, it took over $100 to $200 million since 2021, and they have not given a reason. Imagine this, for 2 straight years, they haven't given a logical reason or even you know how you get arrested and you have the right to know why you're being detained or being arrested? They didn't even give these people any of that. And apparently there's some sort of law that tells them they can do that. And yeah, they went into the savings boxes in their banks and they took all their properties like gold, watches, money, cash, whatever the hell was in there. And upon reading that, and if you haven't read that article and you'd like to read that article, go to my YouTube page in the community tab and look at the last shared basically article. And you'll see what I'm talking about. I mean, it's horrific. Think about it. These people were people who were basically, some of those families were people who were retired. And it's crazy, the cash crunch and the amount, like the model that they use to make so much money. It's crazy the fact that they can do that. Now, for me, it doesn't matter whether I have it or not or whatnot. Same for you. Last thing I would like is for somebody to come and take my money, especially if it's like your retirement or your savings money that you're keeping to take care of you at your ages, or in other words, the golden. They could do all that anywhere and anyhow, except the blockchain, or basically in what I personally consider the safest blockchain or crypto out of all, which is Bitcoin. Yeah, you see the price up and down, and that's why you see the government and many governments constantly trying to harm its value by not allowing in some regions people to use it, making it illegal, because the number one reason they hate it is because they can't go dip right in and take your money. If they need to confiscate your money or freeze your money or do any of that, they could do that in any bank for whatever reason, even if they just felt like it. However, with Bitcoin, your wealth is constantly transferring with you. Like, I could have my flash drive and I could have whatever, $1 billion on it. I can put it with me on the plane wherever I go at all times, and I can just go to the nearest Bitcoin ATM. Next thing you know, I'm utilizing my wealth everywhere with me. I don't have to make a bank transfer to basically hope that this region or this bank could allow the transfer of this, because if there was any hiccups, then you don't want to be the person that's going in like, I want my damn money, catch me outside, and doing all that stuff. Because if they want to screw you on some big time money, at the end of the day, these guys are the power itself. So therefore, if they want to screw you, who are you going to go cry to? You see what I'm saying? And in these days, I could just about feel like, the process of the law is almost as corrupt as the criminal itself. And obviously, we see that happen with our stock movement in the stock market and everywhere else. So theoretically, once you see how the market cap of a blockchain like Bitcoin that is capped, meaning right now it's here with this market cap and with this basically blockchain with this amount of Bitcoins. The more people use it, the more people buy it or get into it, the more that it's going to go up, simply because there will be no more Bitcoins to be created constantly like dollars. There's always going to be printing more dollars, which makes the previous dollars that were printed before it lose more value. And that's what causes even more and more inflationary decays into your own wealth, or let it eat at your wealth. And when you see stuff like this, when I see a blockchain like basically Bitcoin that constantly, for me, looking at it is just simple. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not the day after, maybe not just this past today, where Bitcoins has jumped up from jumped up like a good 5-6%. It's a nice run, but that's not much. But thinking at least 2, 3, 4, 6 years later down the line, as more and more, because they can never shut down the chain. It's only clear that more people will jump on it. More people use it. The supply is the same since the blockchain is capped. So basically the supply is going to be the same, but the demand is going to be higher, which if you put those two together, what do you guys think? Put in the comment section. Tell me, what do you guys think? If supply is on the rise or spikes, but if the supply is basically, if the supply stops and it's like capped, but the demand is higher, what do you think happens to the price? It goes up. But more importantly, if you guessed it goes up, then you're correct, people. But more importantly, the fact that you can hold and control your money at all times, that to me is the number one thing that will sell me on any idea of such. So that was just, breaking the stream in, breaking the live in. I wanted to break it with some stuff like this. And basically we'll get through the questions if there is any throughout the night, guys. I know you guys always have not too many questions, but you guys have questions. So if you have them, type them in so I can see them through. Why is tomorrow the day after gonna What's happening? So this week, like today, the reason why we've dipped, we've seen the futures of corn go up, just like last week because of dry weather and so forth and all that stuff. We had some like rebounding, a little rebounding from the crazy spike that we had the week before. However, that be it. Is that really it? Are we really going down? You remember last week, I've actually mentioned to everybody that, hey, I see Tesla still spiking. I see Nvidia still spiking. I still see Meta still spiking. And we could go back to the previous live. Look at that. Fact check me. Guess what? They are. Tesla has been very, very handsome and sweet. And Nvidia and Meta, aka Facebook, to anybody that's gotten into them, even just since last week, small scalps. However, I still think that we are not at the end of this. Personally, I'm seeing some heavy option movements, crazy things. And when I'm looking at the open interest, I'm looking at the volumes on these tickers, like whether Teslas or Nvidias and all that, I still see more upside than that. Specifically in Tesla, I don't be surprised if you see Tesla breaking $300 mark fairly soon. Now, however, again, guys, AB is not a financial advisor. We talking about my opinion and my thoughts. Maybe perhaps I might take some positions and that I'm talking about. However, I'm not giving any advice because my risk is mine alone, and yours is yours alone as well. And it looks like when it comes to AMC, we're all in that risk as far as we're all in the same boat. So tomorrow we have, and the reason why we have now, this was today, as far as like why did it dip? We'll look at some point throughout this stream. If you guys would like, you guys could let me know. I could possibly go ahead and pull up SPY chart and show you guys why is it so crazy where we at specifically as we speak right now, and the level that we are at, level that we are actually having to hold because we're sitting right on top of it. And why do I think, like I said also in the previous live, we're actually still moving toward, in my humble opinion, an all-time high on the SPY, perhaps breaking the 468, 470 level. And I know a lot of people are like, oh shit, AB. Like when I said it last week, people, what the hell? But I still doubled down on that idea, on that thought. However, it's not going to be long-lived. I think it's going to be very short-lived. Talk about a few other things, why I even think that the next dip on the SPY is going to be one long dive to perhaps take us under. Now people are, what? Should I go ahead and buy a lot of puts? 340 strike price. No, my family. AB is just giving you out his predictions. I'm no Nostradamus. At the same time, these are my technicals, and I look at a lot of things, and maybe we'll see them tonight throughout. If you guys want to see the chart, SPY, we can pull it up and we can look at it. And we can also look at AMC if you guys would like, AMC's chart. However, there isn't much in the technicals as far as with AMC because we're right on the verge of breaking out of something. And I showed it in the previous two lives. That's where we're at. And it's extremely close. And surprisingly, it matches right with the timeline of this court date that we have coming up. First of all, Turtle Creek Slots, good evening to you, my friend. And Jam Bams, how are you doing? Thank you for showing the fire. You can feel, guys, the fire and the love when Jam Bams comes into AB, right? So everybody, thank you so much for showing so much love. I can feel it, and therefore it can make me a lot confident or brave to say things that I shouldn't say. Similar to that what I was just talking about with the SPY. However, I still think that the next dip that's coming on the SPY, which should be somewhere later months of this year, perhaps on the early part, perhaps in the end of August, early September. I could see it in early August, maybe September, and or at the latest by the end of this year. Personally, and this is just my opinion, ICS actually reaching, perhaps dumping down below $340. Time will tell, and maybe basically the fact checking will happen then. And I'm the first person to cash a check that I write. So that being said, what is going to make it crazy for what is so wild? Well, tomorrow, guys, we have the Federal Reserve's top head, aka Mr. Jay Powell, is going to be having a 2-day testimony in the Senate. And when you see them speak on those 2 days, he's going to be bombarded with questions like, hey, what are you doing? How's the jobs? How's the housing? How's this? He's going to come out and, usual faction. He's going to say the same stuff that he's been saying in the past years, in the past C meetings, in the past testimonies that he's had in the past year. And the crazy thing is, well, one, for day traders, tomorrow and the day after is going to be haven on the face of earth, basically. Because him being asked questions, him having to, answer whatever stuff that he speaks, and we all know when Jay Powell speak, the money printers turn on, basically, and both ways, either to the upside or to the downside. What will he basically say? This is why I think that it will be so short-lived. I'm looking first for certain levels to be held on the SPY and the S&P 500, that is. Basically a rebound to refollow as Tesla and these major stocks like nividia are still basically scorching the face of the earth and continuing to go up. But again, all that stuff is coming in, and again, the music doesn't play forever. At some point, the music stops. We're way overextended on so many technicals on any of these, whether on S&P 500, especially on Tesla and nividia, and there has to be some sort of breather, which I feel like today was on a micro level. Today was one of them. Last Friday before the close was one of them. However, I see us perhaps continuing this thing, and tomorrow and the day after is going to be insane for the whole situation. Oh, hello. I just seen this second, guys. Just had a family member just subscribe. Thank you for the subscription. Welcome to the family, my friend. And we're gonna have basically, as a day trader, tomorrow and the day after is gonna be wild. So have if you day trade, be ready, enjoy the rides, not just one that are happening tomorrow, the day after. Top of that, be ready. Also, if you're not a day trader, I'll tell you this, because I know every family has every individual out there. I love my family, and obviously I feel like, and I know that the feeling is mutual. So if you're not a day trader, keep your eye. If you like long-term trades and you just like to be not glued to the computer, if you trade out of your phone and all that, if you like to put a trade in, kind of like watch it grow, like kind of plant a seed and collect the fruits later, then there is a mindset that I will give to you, which is look at the stocks that are constantly extended on the downside or on the upside. And those can technically gauge that this is too unhealthy for this stock, whether it's too low or too high. Too low as in like where the VIX is right now. Too low as in where the SQQQ is at right now. It's too farly extended out down to the bottom, to the point where there's no way that you can keep this beast down much longer. Perhaps going down on for another week, two, max 2-3 weeks, a month. I don't know. I'm not a financial advisor. What I'm giving you here is keep your eyes, if you're not a day trader, on stocks that are overextended, whether on the upside that they rip too much or have dipped too entirely much, and see, and even ETFs, even index funds like the SPY, VIX, SQQQ, S&P 500, and you can see all that. Particularly one nice technical. It's very simple, and it's not the one technical indicator that gives you everything. That doesn't mean, oh, okay, I'm making an investment on this. However, the RSI, the Relative Strength Index, and that will show you basically where it's at. And I'll show you guys, if we look at some chart, like at least maybe Tesla's chart or SPY's chart or AMC's chart, I can show you guys basically some of the things that I utilize with the chart by looking at that, because it's more than one technical data that you would use if you become a technical trader or a day trader. There's going to be many technical indicators out there, and there isn't just one particular one that solves them all. There isn't a particular path that is the right path to it all. Everybody has a different style, and you have to look. The more indicators you look at, the more you master, the more indicators or time frames that you look at makes basically the picture a little bit clearer for you to make that gun-ho decision and say, you know what, I'm doing this action, or I'm making this trade. So looking at the RSI on a stock, if you're not a day trader, seeing it if it's overly extended to the upside or overly extended down the side, you would know what to do at that point, by basically making perhaps a more comfortable entry at that point. Watch it grow, whether to the upside or to the downside. So later on, if you guys have more questions about stuff like that, please feel free to ask the questions. Remember, I might have some predictions on what's going to happen with the market and with the SPY and with the play and all that. It doesn't make me a psychic that reads your mind and knows exactly what question you have in the back of your head. So please feel free, people, to ask whatever question you have related to the stock market or not. And I'll do my best to basically answer it, come to the table, and we can. Orlando Finney, hit that like button. Thank you, Orlando. Appreciate it. You guys can't let Orlando down, or AB as well down. Everybody else, hit that like button, please, if you haven't hit that like button yet. So I'm anticipating the same old stuff that Jerome Powell is going to do. You're going to have 1-2 days, whether it's tomorrow and Thursday, being obviously extremely more like a very volatile days where it's up, down, crazy. And then basically have a breather on Friday, because most of the action this week we're going to have tomorrow and the day after. You fact check me afterwards. We will come to the live either tomorrow or Friday or on Saturday. What? Saturday live? No. Saturday live. Maybe on Sunday. We'll look back at the week and see how it exactly went. I don't see him saying anything that's going to be ground shattering. I see him just sticking to the script and the question. I see the Senate maybe perhaps asking certain questions that will trigger the algorithms of the stock market, where if it's something that is negative, the way they ask it and the way that he answer it, that is still, for example, transitory. If somebody comes along, and I know that somebody's going to ask this, so what is your guys, they're going to ask him in the Feds, as he speaks for the Feds, tomorrow, Jerome Powell, like, you said that you're going to do this, that, and you and the other members of the Fed, what do you guys think is going to be the end of this inflation, or how are you going to tackle this inflation? Right on that question, you could anticipate right away the algorithms of the stock market, somehow, whoever controls it, being right away triggered, start some sort of like down movement. However, when he answers it, he's going to answer with some sort of optimism slash, we're still reacting to the data, and the data is coming back every 1 or 2 months and right direction. I still think that we have at a soft landing. Worst case scenario, we might not see right there. We have a good opportunity at a soft landing, and therefore you will see a market basically be volatility going up. However, he might probably add on to it saying worst case scenario, or if can't, then we might just have some sort of downturn in the economy for such a small time. Then the market should rebound. And basically, upon saying that, you would anticipate the market to algorithmically react to it, be going on the way down. I'll be as a day trader, I'll be glued to the seat and my trading desk for tomorrow, which is right here with the hookah in the background. And I'll be basically going at it so I can see what the hell is happening, get into trades and getting out of trades and do all that stuff, because tomorrow, day after, there are days that you just can't miss as a day trader. It could be 2 days that could make up for like a few months, you know, in some cases even a year down the line of having not to do anything. So that takes care of that. Look at that. We got Jeffrey. How are you, my friend? He's calling somebody locos, Canada locos, and AB. Oh, okay, everybody else. So you guys are locos. AB is not. He's added AB to the list. How are you, my friend? Okay, so by not intending to keep this very, very, very long throughout the night, because we got an interesting day. I'm going to talk about this theory that people are technically not just thinking about precisely. It's a small thing, and I think that it's in front of everybody, staring at everybody in the eyes. But people are like looking at it and moving on without actually seeing that it could be something that is huge and big. Now, everybody knows that AB comes down to, and now I'm not going to address the whole market. I'm going to address specifically AMC. Okay. Everybody knows, hey, look at that. Once I see the swords, I know who that person is. Diaz, how are you, my friend? Nice to have you in here, brother. One thing I want people, most of you people in here already probably also know this. AB was basically a self as a no vote. And I'm not gonna ever sit around and say, oh, you yes votes or you no vote and all that stuff. At the end of the day, we're all holding, right? All holding. We've been from the beginning. You to understand exactly where AB is going with this, you have to go back to the beginning and remember exactly how it goes, and go follow along with me on the line, along the line. The beginning of this movement, the whole situation was always us versus them. Who was them? Who was us? Now, us is basically the movement. There was no yes and there was no no at the time. It was just basically all of us as one movement, all apes, one for all for one. Now, by who is them against them was also just one entity. And I mean by one entity as in it has many legs and arms and body, a deep state. But the one at that time, to the best of our knowledge and ability, and even until now, we still don't know for sure. Actions show, the likability board or AMC's CEO not being exactly truthful to the movement. Now, do we know for a fact? No. So I'm gonna keep give the man and the board some leeway as far as because we don't 100% know exactly this. Now we have so many evidence, likable as evidence, that he's most likely. In my book, I've already kind of marked him as such. But the fact that there are so many people that are, clinging on for dear life for AA and Co. and the board, that means they see something that I perhaps don't see. And therefore, I have to fairly leave the lane a little bit open from there. But who are we really against? Shorts, market makers, the institutions, the law that actually looks the other way while we've been scalped left and right. They're scalping us. We're like that. And they see, everybody sees it. Everybody sees it. And we all know that everybody sees it. They're all looking up. Who else is against us? The people that are also funding these operations to get them to extend these strikes against us and the onslaught against us to be basically more continuous, so that they could have continuous support that they could use to beat us down, perhaps get us out. So what did we ultimately know from the beginning? That they need what we have, right? I'm looking in the chat right now. I can't see anybody that could disagree with that. So being individuals or the investors and the holders of this wonderful movement and this wonderful family, from the beginning, it was mainly us versus them. They need what we have. We unlocked the hack cheat code in the stock market, which is buy and hold. And that was basically destroying them. We've seen that through, how did we see them cry? A lot of people said, oh, it doesn't look like they're crying. Yes, you can, because the way they cry is different than us. The way we cry is we let it out for real, and we tell people that, oh, I'm overextended. I can't take this much longer. Let this thing rip. The way the other side that is against us complains or cries out loud is by doing the opposite, trying to cover that they're extremely vulnerable, that they're extremely overextended, way over leveraged, and the word over leveraged being the same word that has been in pattern with all the other market crashes that have happened before. There was always some entities, banks, or individual that was way overly extended. You look at even back in 2008, you had the Lehman Brothers being overly, mainly what brought them down was being overly extended on a rate of 40-1. So like an over 40-1. So for every dollar that they physically had, they owed $44, $46 that they were basically overextended on, that they were over leveraged on. And eventually when you had, and this, by the way, also happened to, what's their name? What's the other bank that somebody else came and bought them? Merrill Lynch was also on the same, literally, I remember those days, not like it was yesterday because it was a while ago, but I remember even Merrill Lynch was in the same boat. As in, like the disaster of 2008 could have been 3 times worse. Believe it or not, as bad as it was, it could have been 3 times worse if Bank of America didn't come in and actually purchase Merrill Lynch. They did, and that's what extended it. Now Lehman Brothers were looking for the same thing. Bank of America backed out of the deal. You had another bank from England. What's that bank? Barclays was the last hope that Lehman Brothers had, and leading into that one Sunday, they kept talking. Then Barclays said, "Okay, so who backs this up? Who's going to guarantee this? Like, we need a guarantor to go ahead and make this purchase or to make this transaction." And obviously the government / even the president, like there's some rumors that the president's cousin worked for Lehman Brothers, and he tried to contact him at night, Sunday night before Monday morning, to basically say, hey, can you reach out to the feds, which was, I think at the time was Carlson, and have him basically just issue this or take care of this and all that. And the president basically didn't even come onto the line to his own cousin. So again, that part right there was an alleged story, but I believe completely into that because I remember the details that ensued back in those days and that time. But the moral of that story is that over leveraged, always somebody's over leveraged and they need something. The greed of, in our story here, instead of it being just the housing or whatever, it's been over leveraged on shorting. Extremely wild shorting, a model that have become like no other, like from before. Like the shorting was always around. However, the way that they've done shorting now, this point, the way that they were maximizing profits, and the way that they could continue moving forward every day was to who can bring more in. Doesn't matter how, just do it. They took the Nike slogan, but in the way. And leading up to this point that we know that they need what we have. They cry by making articles, the other side. They cry by making articles, statements, paying people off like the Rat Kramers and the Gasparinos and all these people, getting all these people to come out and basically try to attack us, paying off shills, trying to pay off content creators who can infiltrate the community, paying off Redditors or making bot accounts that could steer people in the wrong directions. All those ways are ways that they use cry. That's their way of crying out loud or saying that we are screwed indirectly. While we might voice out our the way that we are, or our feelings, directly by saying, we are going to do this, or we're going to do this. We are overly extended. Come on, it's been 3 years. Get this thing going and all that stuff. They listen to that because we're saying the truth. However, for them, the truth, they will never say. They will never say. Even the Lehman Brothers guy came out at the last moments, and he was like, he made it like a press, and he was like, this is hurting us, but it's not. You'll come out of this. It's nothing. And not even a week later, here comes the crash. So it's not there. You're not, if you're waiting for some sort of we're screwed testimony, that's not going to happen until the moment of, till resurrection day, until the rupture, basically, or Armageddon comes around. Moving on, as we have what they need, we stayed in a deadlock. 1 year, 2 year, now going on 3rd year. I know for people like me, by September it'll be 3 year. And nothing have moved. They are not budging. We are not budging. They've taken losses. We had some people, it's fair enough to say that we have some people took some losses and they just collected their losses. But again, that's on a small level compared to the overall picture. Both armies are still present. They came to the conclusion knowing that, hey, what can we do to get these people? Because these people are extremely stubborn. They're not leaving. They're whatever we're doing here, we're publishing articles left and right. We're doing this left and right. We're saying bad things left and right. We're bringing the price down in all sorts of ways, legally or illegally or however way, or binary ways to bring the price down. And still not, for the majority, all picture, the army. December will be 3 years for you, Jeffrey, huh? Yeah? It's been, what a journey, huh? So here's where we get into the what if, okay? The what if. So me knowing how a hunter's mindset works, we view them as prey, and they view us as prey. Fair enough, correct? And since we view them as prey, our model is to hold until they walk. And then, they walk into the trap and they get over leveraged, they get margin called, and we short squeeze them out of their position and what we as apes call MOAS. That's our blueprint. That has been our blueprint. That's the only blueprint that I know of. Now, for them, they also view us as prey. What is as a hunter, as an apex predator in your own mind, the way that predators think? Obviously, I'm not going to be losing the way that they're going about it. We're not going to lose to these guys. They're our victim, theirs. And we're thinking the same thing. They think that they're going to win, but we hold keys. We hold all the shares. Now, they know this and we know this. So what if these people said, you know what? Yeah, we have money as much as possible. We got the support of the government. We got the support of the law that looks left and right. We got all the Senate and everybody else who is being voted for all in our pockets because all their campaigns are paid and, taken care of. So we have that. But one thing we don't have, which is them, this is the way they're thinking. One thing they don't have is actually time, because for how long can they keep this market like this as a whole? They know that they can't rip the market without taking care of all these positions. This is what we're seeing right now. You're seeing these stocks. A lot of people ask me, and I see them asking these questions on different social media platforms. They're asking, how are we in these levels? How is the SPY or the S&P 500? How are these other indexes? How is the Dow Jones here? Fundamentally, this doesn't make any sense. While you're correct on the sentiment, the idea or the thought, however, the fact that you're here is because if these that I just mentioned, all of those were actually all the way down, do you know how many people in the stock market will be margin called. It's not just going to be one hedge fund or two or three. It's going to be most likely the entire economy will go bellies up with. That's not even to even still talk about credit loom is coming around. This is why I said they have everything they need, but they do not have time. They've always knew this from the beginning. Maybe 3 years for us is like, it's been forever. For them, that's quick. Because imagine going about your life like you know that, hey, in by 20, even if they knew how this ends and we molest shit out of them, in 4 years, how can that be like a way of life? Imagine waking up every day knowing that you're going to die in 3 years, exactly in 3 years or in 4 years, or, in such and such time. Because, they have insights. They know when whoever's helping them and covering for them, they'll tell them that, hey, the curtains are going to come down around this time zone or what. So imagine living with that day to day. What are you going to do? You don't have time. That's why they are always thinking about it from this perspective. We need to do whatever we got to do. We can't tip our fingers. We can't let it be known. We got to act like nothing is happening so nobody can feel or see it. In the same time, or get a whiff of it. In the same time, we still don't have that time, so we got to keep making our moves. We can't just stop and wait for the lawmakers or whoever is covering for us to just say, you know what, one day, keep this going forever. That's not going to work. It doesn't work that way. So what I'm getting to, people, is since they know that they have to get this over with, and we know that the credit crunch that is happening and that is coming, over $1 trillion will have to be taken care of by mid to end of 2024. The people that are covering for certain people are going to be like, okay, I have bigger shit to take care of now. Deal with it. So since they have the sword behind their necks of what I feel like they have behind their necks, they have to come up with something. And this is the what if part. They have to come up with something. They're like, we need the shares. Let's get them. But these people are not leaving the play until, Evie, how are you, my friend? Unless we pay them off. But we are also greedy. Not taking no, when the first run-up happened, when the second run-up happened, the third and the fourth, smaller after the all-time high of June, people still didn't leave. They're like, we're here for, and they just kept voicing it out. 10,000 a share, 5,000 a share, 1,000 a share, blah, blah, blah. Any of these figures scares the shit out of these people. And that's why they're still in the fight. And coming this long, for AB particularly, I'm not speaking for anybody else or addressing everybody else with that. This is just my opinion. I didn't wait this long, come this far, so that I could take measly numbers or stupid numbers or even all-time high numbers. And this is just my opinion. I'm willing to live and die by that risk. While I could hear a lot of people say, I'm so hurt. I've been in this forever. I wish I could just get my money back. I wish I could just get all-time high back or whatever. That's you. Again, the way I feel about it shouldn't matter to you. But for me, I did not wait or hold for this long, come this far so that I could go with what I could have had years ago, back in June of 2021, easily, and could have been just on a different path by now. No, this had the price tag on it from the beginning. The way that I read it and the way I saw it was for what it is. It's not no stupid numbers that they gave us in the all-time highs, all that stuff, and therefore it's worth way more than that to me, and therefore I'm holding for that. Now, this is just AB. Again, I'll live and die by that sword and by that sentiment. But since they don't want that, how can they get us out of it? So they can't get Moast. They don't want to get Moast. That's just them, fairly. They don't want to get Moast, but in the same time, they need us out of our positions so they can move on. We could move on. That's the way they see it. So what are they going to do next? All they care about are shares. It's important to remember from the beginning what this is why I walked you through this whole story, guys. step by step like this sentiment, so that you can see where I'm coming from, this theory or this talk. We know that the thing that they need the most is AMC shares, not anything else, AMC shares, because that's what it was all about from the get-go. So now we have this ape creation. Ape comes in. What is it? What if it was from the get-go saying, you know what? There is nothing that will get these people to get out of their positions unless we overextend them over the course of 2-3 years. Then many of them would have used already all their dry powder. How? So many of them have bought in the beginning when they seen the rip on June 2021. People started coming in. Then it went down. A lot of people saw it in the 50s. Some people started buying some more to average down. And then in the 40s, in the 30s, in the 20s, and so forth, people were using their dry powder onto that. Majority of the community, at least. Not everybody, but majority of the community. Whenever they had a chance, I remember those days. If you haven't been in this community for a long time, I can tell you, because I'm in like a timeline from the beginning of it. And seeing everybody come in, when it was in the 20s, the hype was at an all-time high. It was in the 30s, the hype was in the all-time high. It was in the teens. It dipped into the teens, the hype was at the all-time highs again and again and again and again, because every time the idea was to, you know what, get your enemy. Their way of going about it was get them, which is us here, their enemy. Get them to use all their ammunition. For 3 years, we've been using our dry powder. We've been buying and averaging down and all this stuff. And then at the end of the road, hit them with this reverse stock split, because the company will be forced to make one. The split of Ape, and obviously the deriving it from the investment itself. Why would they be forced? Because the price have been suppressed, and the company has debts, and it has to make payments, and it has to operate, since it's operating at a cash burn, which is getting better and better, by the way, as we speak. They will be in a position, the other side knew that our company would be in a position in the board, whether they're in on the take or not, looking at the big picture here. They knew that they will be forced. They put AMC in the position that publicly, outright, is justified by, look at us. We could be bankrupt. We don't have enough money. Go buy gold mines. Go do this. Go do this. Go do that. It's okay. But we're going to continue to suppress your stock price and bring it down. They do that simply from the market cap. How is that determined? Through the buying and selling. Now, when they suppress orders, they send orders to dark pools and all that and spoof and do crap for over we're technically been buying all these synthetics, and we see all these market makers / other institutes that have 60, 70, 50, 40 billion plus assets that have been delivered yet have not been purchased, because their plan was we'll keep giving them, we'll take all their money, which is all their ammunition, keep it, and let them basically get away from it. So now they're taking all the money that we had. They gave us all these synthetics in return, majority of the part. This is just what I believe, guys, right? And if you believe the same thing, kudos to both of us, I guess. Or shame on us if it's not true. And then we will get to the point down the line where they have used most of their dry powder. They've used all three over the course of these 3 years on their positions, and the ones that just came in, of 3 years of having one bull year in 2021 and then one massively red bearish year in 2022, most people have used their money. In fact, there's a study that came out that is saying, even Deutsche Bank, you guys remember the last live we had, was speaking about the fact that most American households have used up most of their money and are already now dipping into their savings. And they also expect in that study that by the end of this year, perhaps by November, end of October, early November, that most Americans have already dipped through their savings. And that's very scary, guys, family. So when we know, and they know this on a macro level, they know all of this stuff. What can they do next at that point to make sure so they could do their best hit at us to try to get the shares. Because again, from the beginning of the story, it was all about what? It was all about the shares. They needed what we had that we were sitting and holding on. We needed the money that they were rightfully owed to buy back. Let's see. But AB, their slitherback said no synthetics. Well, again, this is what he says. This is what they say. This is what he say and she say. I'm looking at the macro level of all of the shorts against us right now. I'm just focusing on the shorts and how possibly they could have been going about this, because ultimately it's just been about getting back the shares from us that they're over leveraged by on a smaller scale throughout the days, and they over expanded over 3 years to ultimately get what they want. Okay. As far as Adam, you guys know my view on him. I could care less about the board. I could care less about the board. Do I believe in their own take personally? For me, I believe, will that change the board? Will that change Adam out of his position? I see him probably retiring in a year or two. But you got to deal with what you have. Right now, I'm talking about the important stuff. Instead of thinking about or whining about, oh, he's screwing us. Well, okay, we'll make the awareness. I've voiced out my opinion. However, how's that changing our situation? What can we do immediately to change that? There's not much that we could do to change him as our CEO instantly. Our stock right now is extremely important right now, with the steps that are coming really fairly soon, that we stay completely smart and use our brains as much as possible. Because crying about Adam is going to do us a lot, but it's not going to change what's coming, especially fairly soon. Now, in the long term, we can be working this in the background. There's many things that are happening right now that all of you are probably not even knowing about. Speak to a few other content creators, and there are things that are brewing in the background to take care of that kind of stuff. But my main focus is on the that's what I give to ish about or ifs about. I see that many people have left when they heard my views on the on the silverback. So oh well, have a great night. So seeing that, my dear family, brothers and sisters, now that we go back to the story that they need the shares, they came up with this position thing where they'd forced the company and forced the board or the CEO or not, follow along. They forced to do this split into ape, and that, I believe, works right into their plans of how can they make us sell our shares, or how can they put their hands on the shares that we're not willing to sell. Because people were not willing to sell for any number at the time. For an all-time high at 74, 72, people were not willing to let go at 30 and 40 and 50 and 20, whatnot. Every rip they had, nobody wanted to. Even if you would have put a knife to somebody's head, I know you people. I'm one of you guys. We would have said, you might as well go ahead and go with it. Put a gun to my head and say, sell your shares. I'm doing it. Keeping this. And I'm here for the correction of this freaking shady ass market, and for the MOAS that is supposed to be. Broke ape, how are you, brother? Just rich ape, but you just still don't. You'll know about all that soon. So we came up, ultimately, I think that they came up with this ape split, aka dividend, that is derived from our investment. Cutting it, taking away from the investment itself per share, which was at the time about what, like $7 and some change. I remember mentioning it like a few weeks ago, and even before. Only for something. So like each share was like about $7 was taken from it just so that it could be sold for 68 cents, 86 cents, or under $1 to some shorting hedge fund that is shorting us in public. Like you could see it publicly, everybody see it, nobody could say no about that. and then turn around and say that it's saving our bacon. And I don't think, that makes any sense to me. And I guess that doesn't make any sense to most of my family in here, because we already talked about this in the past. However, since they know that the dry powder is out for most people, all the savings are out on that part. 3 years later, this thing happens now with split. First, by doing that split, they successfully split the community. Unfortunately, it's the truth. Now there's the yes, and now there's the no. As much as we've tried, me and probably a few other people, I'm pretty sure everybody wants the same for all the other content creators. Some maybe are bullies, maybe some they don't give two shits except about the platforms, or they're doing this from the beginning just for views and subs or whatever. Some have done their best to try to at least, show you the truth. Maybe their ways doesn't align with psychologically with everybody else, to keep them on the same pace in the same room and be happy just to digest what they're giving you. But ultimately, the intentions have been clear. We're like, hey, I want to take the whole community. Each person has been doing this. We would like to all go to the land of milk and honey. I see danger, big danger ahead, and I don't want us to go through it. However, by doing that split, they successfully, and more importantly, this speaks louder on the CEO's plate. You see the very clear fracture between the community, fractures because of this ensuing no and yes. There is much that he's done besides going to movie theaters and meeting people, waiting to sign their things. It's kind of like the Romans days, back in the days when the gladiator comes after killing like a few beasts or something, and take signatures outside. Hey, okay, I'll buy you a ale, or I'll buy you some, some drink or something for that. That was a great fight or something, and he's coming out like as this holy celebrity that is coming down to give people signatures, and you're meeting your superhero, aka Adam Aaron, blah blah blah. That's the way I see that, because he could have done much more to prevent these cracks from going further. Again, I've said this. If personally I was CEO of a major company and I see these cracks, because he claims that this is the retail owns this company. You guys own this company. You guys save this company. These are his words. I'm quoting. By saying all this stuff, he could have done so much more. Until now, there isn't much. It's just been, you voted, you got what you wanted and all this stuff. But he clearly can see the rifts that are happening throughout all of the social media, which means the amount of people who did or didn't vote, not even allowed or shown on that vote platform or anything. You can at least see on the social media that there is a big number of people who are not happy with this shit, are not down with this. And the one and best way I would go about it if I was a CEO of a major company is to make sure that I go about whatever means necessary to mend the fences. Because at the end of the day, if he cares about AMC as a CEO of AMC, and that's all he cares about, even if he doesn't care about them, that's fine. Put that on the side. If he cares about AMC, only AMC, then he needs to care about all the investors in AMC. What if he upsets all of this no crowd, for example? Just for example, what if he upsets all the no crowd and all the no crowd leaves? Guess what? That hurts AMC. So as a CEO, if you care about your company, every person matters. I own a restaurant. Every Patreon that comes to purchase food is important. Whether they're a customer I like, it's a regular, or a person that's just passing by and they saw the menu and they saw this on the screen and they're like, you know what? This looks good, or it smells good. I want to buy this. Everybody matters. But I have seen very little effort from him to say this. Instead, he labels it on social media as like all the no community as people who mean to do us harm. And that right there shows me that it's not hard to see that the community has been split ever since the split have happened. He could have done a whole lot more. He could do so much better to do to re-glue the community back together, even if he doesn't care about the MOAS. You know what? Clearly, I don't want him. In fact, I don't expect him to give us a MOAS because his job is different, to run the company. Don't give us the MOAS. The MOAS is there. Personally, for me, my perspective, the MOAS is already there. We all we have to do, we have already done from 3 years ago. Buy and hold, and we did that. Now the market is screwing us, the market makers, the government, the SEC, everybody is screwing us by overlooking it, by spoofing, all that stuff, and you guys all know all that stuff. So I don't expect him to deliver a MOAS. I do expect him is when he sees these rifts and these splits amongst the community. There was a time where he went on lives and interviews with people that everybody looked up to, like Trey's Trades, for example. He could line up anybody from the no crowd. He has nothing to hide. If he has nothing that is shady or wrong, he can handle it. He can handle it with them. And I know that when these kind of interviews happen, there's always a pre-run. They say, okay, this is the list of the questions I'll ask you, and blah. And I know for a fact that sides, yes or they no, are going to ask the questions that needs to be asked. He would know what they are, and if his true nature, and if he truly care about the movement, he would go ahead and do what's best and truthful and answer it. You know, there's nothing more beautiful in life than truth. There's nothing more assuring than truth. You can, any of us, you all are grown adults. You guys are, many people in here are more, you know, like in age wise and wiseness, you guys have a lot more than me, of that. Wise, being more wise, being more older, more well cultured, all that stuff. Much more intelligent. It's not hard to see somebody who's lying or bullshitting or not. And if we basically ask, if he's willing, we can ask. And once the heart feels good and the brain shines like a lamp, we all can move back as brothers and sisters together, as one movement and one community. At the end of the day, I care about AMC. You all in here care about AMC. He, as a CEO of AMC, should only care about AMC. Put the MOAS talk on the side. You know, it's all business. Then afterwards is much love. We've done what we need to do to get our MOAS. We don't need his help. We just need him to keep running the company correctly. Now, if he sees this rift within the community that technically owns the company, as he said, over 80% of the community is owned by retail, then a rightful man or a rightful CEO should definitely handle that, but not let the community go at each other, because that's what we're having right now. We're living in a country, and if he was the CEO and he's the president of the country, he's letting all these riots happen all over the streets by doing also nothing about it. And whenever he does come to do something about it, he entices one group over the other. So don't come. And anybody out there, if you're hearing this or not, or if you're here in the background listening, don't come to AB or anything to talk about like, oh, he's right here or he's correct. AA never wants to do us wrong. No, if he's by not doing right, he's doing wrong. And I'm not asking him for no freaking MOAS. And I'm a no vote. I'm not asking him for MOAS. But there's a way to go about doing the right thing. He's not doing any of it. And I just explained all that. So by doing so, now that there is a split, they got rule number one. They got the first wish. Second thing, how it's always been about how can we hands on the AMC shares that these people have, which is us. It's always been about that for 3 years. They've been trying to come up with ways to get us to sell and give back our freaking shares. How did we do it? How they're doing it now. This is what I feel like. This is humbly, I think this is their last ploy. To get back, to get the shares that at least do their best effort at getting the shares. Nobody was willing to. Until now. Once the split happened, magically, less than literally 4 or 5 months later, there was a proposal that was sent back in to have all that shit merged back together. So basically, they came up with the news about Ape doing a reverse split, and AMC doing a reverse split, and doing a convergent back together, because there's unknown forces out there, quoting somebody that you know well. There's a group of unknown forces out there that means to do us harm. So we need to merge back together. So you guys would know, I've said this before, and it's important to remember this, to keep remembering this, because in the midst of all the noise, it gets forgotten or overlooked. It is not only rare, it's unheard of that you would see a corporate action like the one that we did in August for issuing Ape to be brought right back in within like a proposal of it to come back in 4 months later to try to reverse it and to converge it back in with the company, all in a 4-month period span, like a span of time. It's not just rare, it's almost unheard of. If you go back in history, you see in corporate actions and filings and all that stuff, other tickers and other companies. So the fact that it was all like, okay, come on, quick, okay, Ape is not working. Just 4 months later, all right, these forces mean us harm, whoever they are. Let's just bring it back to AMC. What? And also, since it's a bigger float, we need to do a reverse split as well. That way we can consolidate our price so that we don't bankrupt, so we don't go to zero. Well, we're not. We already took from the market cap of the stock, efficiently bringing it down, making it more strained. Now that you have this thing, you want to bring it back in so that you can do more dilution later after the conversion and bring on the Trojan horse with it on its back from whoever jumped into Ape from the shorts and from the other institutes to basically mint some original AMC shares to come back in. But nevertheless, with that, however, in the time period of that happening, when they issued that they want to do the conversion back and do the split, guess what? First news that they hit us with, and I feel like this is the last of this movement. This is the last. Like, there's no other gimmicks after this. This is it. How this goes is how everything is going to end, basically, with this. When they hit people with the reverse split, that was psychologically tactical. First, they need to give you the bad news, make you feel like you're done, you're screwed, you're over. 10-1. You have worked for 3 years to buy these thousand shares. Every time the price went down, you felt like Detective Sherlock, and you were so smart that you were like, you know what? I'm down for the community. You're not going to outsmart me. You're not going to have my shares. Thank you so much for sending it down here and giving me a dip so I can average down and buy more shares for my freaking MOAS. Because when the MOAS happen, your best friend is how many shares you have. That's what it really comes down to. The more you have, the better for you. The less you have, well, you're fortunate still because you're a part of something that's historic. However, the less you have, the less you'll make. It's unanimously the way that everybody should obviously understand how MOASs work or how short squeezes work. The more you have, the more you'll make. Now, Yucca, how are you, my friend? 1796 Patriot, nice to see you in here. Yes, 1796, I agreed. You guys made me lose my train of thought of where basically I was exactly at. So basically, giving you first the bad news of reverse split. You've been working so hard to have that 1,000 shares over 3 years. Every dip, you took advantage of it. You took from your dry powder on the side until you lost all the dry powder. It's all consolidated in AMC now. You've been bringing down your average cost and everything. Guess what? Now with the reverse stock split, all that talk change. All that goes out the window. That 1,000 you worked hard for have become 100. Now you're all down. I'm walking you through how people most likely felt through these news when it first came about. You're feeling down, you're looking down, you're like, oh my God, like I had 1,000, I finally got to this 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000. going to go back, even if this price goes to whatever price, to the previous all-time high or whatnot. That's not life-changing wealth. And anybody out there, any shill out there, if you say that that's your fault because there was no this is a strained company and the fundamentalists and all that stuff, please, straight to the right from my room here, exit, and make sure you slam the door behind you. Because in the freaking stock market, if you want to go look at fundamentals, the whole thing is on fundamentals. It's just all about who's buying, who's selling, who can control when this goes through, and all that stuff. So fundamentals go straight out the freaking. Now, with AMC's fundamentals going forward, or a company being healthy, that does not prevent it from being shorted. It just makes it less attractive of being shorted. There's a fine difference between that. And a lot of people forget basically how to not overlook that. Leo the Lion, how are you, brother? Nice to see you. It's been a long time. So now you're down. First, they hit you psychologically with the idea that they're going to screw you out of 90% of your shares. But in the same time, you have Ape. Got an Ape. So it's not technically fully 90%. But still, you see where Ape is at. I'm walking you through your thoughts. I'm pretty sure this is how it went. And you're like, well, Ape is here now. With the fact that it has all these billions of shares that can be issued at any given time, Ape it looks like it's clear that Ape will be where it's at for a long time, if not for good. And now that it's going to do a conversion, well, this is where they come and give you the hope. They punch you first, they rattle you up, they'll tell you to let you go. We won't keep punching you if, and here's where they give you the good news. Ape shares price is down, since it's going to do a reverse split as well. The way you can fix this situation and rebalance your AMC share position of whatever, if you had the 1,000 and now it's going to be 100 after the reverse split, you can make up and buy a lot more Ape at a much cheaper price and make up for that amount. So you can technically go ahead and buy about 8,000-9,000 Apes for 8,000-9,000 whatever dollars if you bought it underneath $1. And when it does a 10-to-1 reverse split, it becomes 1,000, and you converge it over to AMC. Now you have your same AMC position again, but minus the 8,000-9,000. But wait a second. Over the course of 3 years, most people have used most of their dry powder. So you're talking about a select few in the community that were able to do such thing, even if that was awarded to them. So, which brings me to the next point. The ones that don't have dry powder, what can they do since you shut the door on them with the reverse split, and now you're opening the door to them with arbitrage? So they want to take care of the arbitrage because they're going to get screwed with the split. How can they, since they don't have dry powder, take advantage of the arbitrage? This is where you start suddenly, all of a sudden, get these gurus and these self-proclaimed apes and Aristotles of the movement and whatnot, even showing people that, you know what, sell your AMC shares. I'm not saying sell all of them, and we're not financial advisors. We're not going to tell you sell all of them. Don't sell or buy. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and go on live and do it, and I'm going to buy more apes with it because I'm going to take care of the arbitrage. Uh-oh. So the ones that didn't have dry powder, that's what basically you mean to tell me. The ones that don't have dry powder and more shares to average down from the 10-to-1 reverse stock split nightmare, those people can still get more shares or use the arbitrage to buy more AMC through buying Ape. And in their mind, it clicks to many of these yes crowd of the vote. To them, it clicks. It says, hey, I'm not technically leaving AMC. I'm still in AMC. I'm just selling some AMC to buy more. What's to become AMC? I'm buying Ape because it's going to become AMC at a lower price. It's an arbitration. But remember, we go back to block number 1, and the beginning reason for all this nightmare has always been and will be about the AMC shares. That's what they need. That's what we have. We're refusing to sell. And, the only way that they could come up with, or that they could do or go about to get those shares, is by infiltrating and manipulating within the movement. Now, do I think that everybody fell for it? Clearly, look at it. No. There's many people in here that have not sold a single share of their AMC, still holding the same way. Remember that AMC is the way, and all the other stuff that has been created has been extra. Now, am I saying that ape is bad or whatever is gonna kill you at night? don't make sure you don't drink it or eat it before you go to sleep. No. What I'm saying is it's secondary to me. It's there, it's not there, blah, 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 but it's not everything to me. AMC, and will always be about AMC. Now, a lot of people have fell victims to that, because even some content creators started coming out telling people that they are doing it. So they're more encouraging people to do, honestly, me, this is just my personal opinion, is wrong, because it affects us. It hurts us when the AMC shares are sold. And ultimately, they can cap it with, I'm not a financial advisor. Right on, Luna. That is correct. So, what happens after that? We get an Allegheny court case. And here's where things get, the what if scenarios start forming. Get this Allegheny case to stop this. But mainly, we all, for the most part, know that this is just a suit, perhaps, to just try to clear the tracks of these boards, or the CEO, other people involved, from being re-counter-sued in the future. So basically to clean them and give them future immunity after this is all over with. They also make a bunch of money off of it. And when they did that, they offered, AMC suddenly comes quickly and gives a settlement offer, resettlement offer. One for every 7.5 shares you have still, you have one AMC share being delivered. Now that, to me, is like, okay, here's the part that most people overlook. This is the part that is in everybody's eyes, but most people just overlook it, because it's like, okay, no, I don't like that offer. Well, it's okay. No one is saying that you should be happy for that offer. That tells me something different. You're always got to look at the analytics and look at the what is this for? What's the purpose of this? But people overlook that. People were just so busy about, how can I get more shares, and how can I take care of this arbitrage, or how can I go fight this reverse split, this arbitrage. They're forgetting about one particular thing. Why did they say that, okay, the settlement is not good, so we make it better? For every 7.5 of common shares, you keep one. Why isn't that offer also made for apes on the preferred share side? People don't think. I was constantly like, if I'm an ape and I'm like, I care about my ape and all this stuff, if I was a yes vote, for example, I would be extremely livid. I'll say, I know this comes out of AMC's pocket, which comes out of the market cap, but since it's being issued to common shares, especially for the ones that sold AMC shares or didn't buy as much, they just continue piling into ape, or are ape heavy. They're over leveraged on ape. And again, to each their own. I'm not like, you make your financial decisions on your own. But I would be upset if I was a yes vote. Not just about the fact that there's this happening. I'll be upset about, you're not going to do me 10-1 and do the AMC common share guy 7.5. No. But no one's thinking that. That shows me that even when the lawsuit was, again, convened to this date, which coming up here now in the end of June, real soon. What was it, Shirley? I remember you said it was 7 days or 8 days from today. 8 days. What if, since they already gave us a little taste saying 7.5 for one and they weren't to settle, what if they come back and say, AMC common shares are gonna do. We're gonna do 2-to-1 for AMC shares, and or perhaps even none for AMC, and we're just gonna do the reverse split on APE and then send it back in. See, like these are again. This is a what if. How would the people that went and over leveraged on APE feel at that point? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness at that point. Seeing people, I can't wait. Because if that was to be the case, I'll be the first no vote to come out and say, bring them in and bring the convergent in. Do it. Let's do it. And it will be so wild for like to imagine at that point. I can already see it. Like if this ends up being the case, like something like this, and along what I'm talking about happens somewhere in that 2-to-1, whatever, 3-to-1, or whatever, like 3-to-1, or even 1-to-1, 2-to-1, anything in that vicinity happens. Watch so many yes vote content creators and people fucking come in and jump and say, bullshit, this is bullshit. This is like making up all sorts. This is gonna hurt the company. This is gonna fucking hurt the company, do all that stuff. And I'm gonna be like, nope, this is helping the company. Now Adam Aaron is not a shill anymore. If this was to happen, it'll be like that. And anybody who's pissed, whether from the yes vote, all that stuff, say you did this to yourself. Don't be mad at nobody. You sold AMC shares to go ahead and average somewhere else, taking care of an arbitrage. You can't be upset at the board later if it doesn't go through accordingly. Haven't you wonder why have there been literally so many companies, index funds, buying so much, just buying AMC, continuing to buy AMC, even if since they know this. Anybody with their right mind, if this truly was going to play out the way it does, they could all just go ahead as institutes. They always know something that we don't know, and they know it ahead of time. They could easily just go and load up only on APE. I buy a single share of AMC. I mean, it makes it, I mean, there's something, and that's why I'm thinking of that way. Chill for Will is heavy on ape. Sold their apes for apes. I know some content creators, guys, and I won't even put it out on live or whatever. I know some content creators who literally sold all their AMC and went freaking ape heavy. And they are out there freaking saying AMC, we're the real people and all this shit. And they've only probably been in the movement for like for a year perhaps. And to me, that's infants. That's like an infant. Like what's a year? You haven't been here since before the initial run up. Even in the early parts of 2021, late 2020, then don't talk about time or what's up. The fact that they sold their C shares to buy a lot of APE shares, and again, even though that's within the umbrella of AMC, that still was not the goal from the get-go. But the fact that they went and sold the common shares to buy preferred shares, equity, to perhaps take care of the arbitrage, then don't come here and tell people like me that you don't care about the company. All you care about is you're going to bankrupt it. No, if you care about the company, you'll continue holding your freaking common shares, and you will go buy ape shares or preferred equity separately by all means necessary. But trying to take advantage of an arbitrage by selling common shares to buy preferred equity, that's not a real AMC. That's not a true ape. You're a sellout. You let your greed come out and you're trying to take care of yourself. But yet, in the same time, you try to say that you care about the company. That's why you vote yes. Don't do no double standards with me, because I read through all this bullshit. To all of you out there who think that. And they say that I sell some of this so I can buy this so it can come back in here. That's you doing you. Don't speak about you care about AMC. You're doing whatever for the community, and you guys all speak with these double standards and the hypocrisy that's through the roof. You truly care, you would hold every single share, especially of common share, because when you sell, you're helping the dip on the price of the stock. So don't come in here and talk about no stupid shit like this and say that we care about the company. That's why we're doing this. So if they're saying, um, if that rule comes on the judgment, even if it gets postponed, let's say it gets postponed, or whatever, um, whether it's at the end of June or after. But let's say at the end of this June, let's just forget about the hypothetical of if it gets postponed after or whatnot. But what if judge comes out and then AMC apparently rolls out another uh, offer to the plaintiffs and say that, you know what, common shares will only go through to ape shares will continue to go, preferred equity will still continue to go through, uh, 10 to 1. Well, if you're a person who knows simple math, even if that case ends up being the case or that ends up happening, then you would ultimately know that buying more common shares throughout this whole past 5 months, 6, 7 months of this nightmare with the vote and all this shit, these past 6, 7 months, if you've been piling up more common shares, and the ruling ends up being something like this, where they say 2 to 1 or 3 to 1, then technically you would have more money. You would have, monetarily wise, you would have benefited more by loading up more on common shares, because once you get split 3 to 1 on this, and you're paying 3 to 1 or 2 to 1, and you pay 2 to 1, and yeah, Mensa PMC trades, yeah, it is tinfoil hats. If this thing ends up being 2 to 1 or 3 to 1 for common shares and just 10 to 1 for ape, preferred equity, then a $4 AMC share, because at some point it was like in the upper threes and lower, but let's say a $5 AMC share or common share that you would have bought, 10 of them would have costed you $50. If it ends up getting split 3 to 1 or 2 to 1, do you see here how many of these shares, now that when you get this ape, 10 of them split by 10 to 1, you perhaps paid more for the apes than you've paid for the common shares, if the ruling ends up being a split like that. Why did I start thinking that? Why did I just think about that idea? Why did I even entertain that idea? It's because when they came back with the settlement, it wasn't mutual. It wasn't 7.5 common shares and 7.5 for ape. No, it was 10 to 1 that side for ape, preferred equity, but it's 7.5 for this. Yeah, but they don't agree. They don't like it. Okay, good. In the meantime, while all that is happening, I believe, and many people see, I know a lot of people are content creators or even in the community who have sold shares, if not many of them sold their entire positions in AMC to go ahead and load up and over leverage themselves on preferred equity to take care of the arbitrage, as if they know that it will exactly happen to their favor. Don't get me wrong. Most likely a convergent / reverse split would happen, but they mentioned 7.5 to 1 common shares on that day. I started thinking twice and 3 times about it, thinking overall it's always been about AMC shares to these shorts. They don't give two Fs about preferred equity. The apes, they mainly are over leveraged over these shares for over 3 years now. They need the shares. Well, they've been getting a lot of these shares from people who are dumb enough to go ahead and unload them so they could go and buy more ape, thinking that they're going to jump right back into AMC, which they could very well do, but at what cost? After they let go of the only thing that we hold that is fundamental against these shorts is our shares. Buy and hold is always the way. So if the judge and this AMC comes back to the table and says, okay, we see that there's a lot of pushback from the plaintiffs and all this stuff. You know what? We'll make this next offer, final offer, capitalist style, American style. we're willing to do 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 on common shares for all common shares. For every like 3 shares that you have, you'll have 1 or 2 or perhaps none. And then for all the preferred equity, you still go through 10-to-1. They do something like this. And one, I will never be happy using a single share of my account, even though the monetary amount stays the same. But when it's MOAS time, it's all about how many shares you have. That's what it comes down to. That's all that, at that point, all fundamentals and indicators and triggers all go out of the window. When it's squeezy time, it's go-go time. It's about how many shares you have and how you're going to basically distribute them, like get rid of them or sell them at what price. So I would never be happy with a single share that I will split or lose, even if the money amount of the position stays the same, but I'm still not happy that my share amount is not the same. Doesn't matter whether I have 1,000,000 shares or I have 5,000 shares or 100 shares or 500 shares. Doing any of that, even single one, to me is not something I will be happy with. But at a way like this, without having to lose 90% or 80% or whatever, bring it on. And who would people at that point blame in the ape/yes community, blah 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 blah? Who will you blame? You blame Adam Aaron? You blame the board? Will you blame who? The no crowd? Because we haven't done shit to you. I haven't done shit to you. I just bought and hold. And we've been telling you, been telling you, buy and hold. Arbitrage? Okay, you go for it. I received my fair share of 1-to-1 of ape of my preferred equity to my common shares. I'll hold it. I'll do what I'm doing. It's fine. I'll hold it. I'll keep it. If it rips, it rips. If it doesn't, my wealth was always in this. So when they initially did the first ape dividend / split, I was not too upset about that particular part of it because I wasn't really relying on it. So if I had, as long as they weren't doing any splits with my common shares position. So to me, it was like, okay, if I'm as long as I'm keeping all my shares and you're doing a split to give me extra apes. So if I had 10,000 AMC shares, now I'll have 10,000 apes. It's okay. My price it will be derived out of my common investment, out of our AMC shares. That's how they gave birth to ape. So therefore, or the value of ape. So it's fine. If the price drops, it doesn't matter. I've always said to myself, if AMC goes down to a penny, I don't care. That only gives me more space to buy more for a lot cheaper. Make my position a lot bigger and hurt these sons of B words, these sons of Bs badly when the time comes. I was okay with it. Go ahead. You need to figure out your financials as a company fundamentally. This is what you talk about. This is what you call a true ape. To me, this is how I see it. AMC needs it. I'm not okay with them deriving the value of ape out of my common stock. But if the company needs it, do it. Leave my share count the same. Just leave the shares alone. So I'll let you take from my pocket, because they dipped into our pockets to create ape. Don't be an idiot and not think that's what happened. They dipped into your pocket because every a common share was derived, like it was, the ape was sucking out of the common share equity price value. That's why we dropped up on the announcement of the issuance of that dividend. So, and I was willing to let that go. I sacrificed that. That's a true ape definition to me. To me, I don't know. I don't know. You guys tell me. What do you think? Is that what a real ape does? The company said, "I need you. I'm here to do this." Guess what? I said, "Go ahead, do it. Roll it." It's going to dip into my pocket and it's going to take from my share price where it was at. But go ahead, take care of your finances. But when they came back and said, okay, that's not enough. We need to screw you on your common equity too. Like, no. I was okay with AMC price going to a penny if it needs to. I don't care. And eventually they would have to take care of what they have to take care of. But and I will load up more if they do so, because that was a nightmare for them, the shorts, that is. But it don't matter. You don't even have to give me a 1-to-1 ratio. You can take the money out of my account and go pay your bills with it. Literally, I swear, they could have came and said, you know what, we don't even need to issue these preferred equity. Can we just dip into each share to each shareholder and take from, I mean, this is illegal. Saying they could have done this and I would have been still okay with it. They could have came in and took literally billions of dollars out of our accounts per share from each share amount and not give me any APE or any preferred equity. And I will still, for the sake of the company's fundamentals, I will still be okay. As long as the amount of my common shares stays the freaking same. That's all I cared about from the get-go. And that's where we at now. So, will they, when the judgment comes out, they will the offer be adjusted to a much better offer? I was an ape. I'm referring to the preferred equity ape now. The other AV ape. If I'm like, I don't have anything against preferred equity, guys. It's just, to me, it's nothing compared to common equity, because it's always been and will always be AMC, common shares. That's what the MOAS is entitled to. It's not linked to no ape. Ape will not be no MOAS. It's to the best of my ability, or my knowledge. But common shares is where the MOAS is, where the creme de la creme is, people. So don't touch that. Do what you need to do with that. That's what my message was to the company. And I'm okay with it. Do what you got to do. I'll let you do what you got to do. Now that you're doing this and you want to come back because these unknown forces want to do this, get out of here. This bullshit talk. Come on, we're all grown adults and we all know what's up. We could tell when somebody's giving you when somebody's giving you the BS, you could tell that it's coming. You can smell it from a mile as well. So what if they come back Judgment Day, say, you know what, all the people, all common equity shareholders are not happy with this split 10-to-1, so we went and made, for every 7.5 you get 1. I know that got under the skin of many people who sold all their AMC to jump into APE to take care of their arbitrage, because they're like, okay, I don't like this, and they started getting nervous. But guess what? What if they come back now? Because we know that we're still even not happy with the 7.5. AMC could easily do the same thing that happened when it was 10-to-1, and that was the reverse split. They came on their own to terms with Allegheny literally less than a week after the case went to court and said, we'll do 7.5 for 1, or 10, like 1 for 7.5. For every 7.5 you get 1. What if they come back now at the judgment and say, you know what, Your Honor, we want to make another offer, basically, or whatever. Again, this is a what if. The split measure is in like 2-to-1 or 3-to-1. None on AMC. 2-to-1 on AMC and 10-to-1 on AMC. How would all you preferred people, or people who went only thinking about the arbitrage and thinking only about your own pockets? You weren't thinking about the AMC company then. You were only thinking about you. Cared about you. So don't sit here and say, we care about AMC more than all of you people. If you care about AMC, you would not sell a single fucking common share. So don't give me this hypocrisy and all that stuff. People just don't look at it and call it out. I'm not afraid. I'll always say, and will always say, what the hell is on my mind. What's in my heart? So you want to play the bigotry part and say, we care about AMC, that's why we're jumping over to APE and all this stuff? No. You care about AMC, will not sell a single share for the purpose of arbitrage. Because if you truly only care about AMC, arbitrage should not be on your mind. You should just worry about how can the company be better. Since you're so righteous and love AMC so much, love the popcorn, love everything about AMC. You love Adam Aaron. You love the community. You love apes. You should. True love does not see arbitrage. We should make that as a. True love has no arbitrage. So if you truly love, quote unquote, AMC as a company and not just as a stock, you wouldn't be thinking about no arbitrage. You mainly would be thinking about how can the company be better. And if you sit here and say, I'm going to buy more ape, I'll say that's smart. But if you sit here and say, I'm going to sell some ape to buy more ape, I'm going to sell AMC common shares to buy some more ape so I can get back into AMC, then I'll call you a clown. I'll call you a shill and I'll call you a double standard piece of shit. Why? Because you say that you care about the company and the stock, but you're over here selling common shares, which is what hurts the company's price. Get the F out of here. Don't play. Don't, like, people just don't call out the right things. When people do stupid shit and hypocrisy and all that, I know how to call that shit out. So if you care about the company, buy more ape, buy more AMC. You don't have money, don't go sell AMC to buy more ape. How does that equate to you caring about the company? You're hurting the price of the stock. You're sending it down more. You're adding more to the selling pressure. Let me see. This is why some of you content creators who did this are not coming out, don't have the balls to come out to say that you did that. Some of you who at least were somewhat strong enough to come out to say, to show that they sold some AMC shares to buy more ape. There are some out there, best and believe people. I'm not going to call them out. I'll let that be. I'll let that be their story to tell. You know who you are. And don't push me because I will do it. I ain't no teller, but don't push me. But there's some that sold some to buy more ape so they can take care of the arbitrage. Again, sellouts. Sellout piece of shits. And paper-handed bitches. Yeah. It's late time AB, so you're gonna get all the cuss and all that stuff. Tomorrow will be a new day, different time in the morning. But, and some behind closed doors and without telling the entire community, of course, because they're ashamed. They can't come out and say that, because if they say that, then they'll be called chills. They know. See, the beautiful thing about wrong is you know that you're doing wrong when you first do it. It feels odd. It feels wrong. That's why you keep it on the low. You're not going to come out and say, I sold all my AMC to buy all apes. I challenge all of them. That's why they're hiding it. But they still speak behind the curtains, say, AMC, we care about the fundamentals. The popcorn is the best popcorn ever and all this stuff. Okay, I love that. I do think the popcorn is the best. I do love AMC. I've been in AMC since before most of you anyways. However, how does selling the shares of AMC common stock equate to you caring about the company? Because when you hurt the company's stock price, because you're adding to the selling pressure, to buy more ape then or preferred equity, that means you're only thinking about yourself. You no longer care about the company. So don't come at the no votes and say you guys only care about MOAS. You don't care about the company. Well, don't use that, because if you only care about the company, you will not be selling common shares to take care of arbitrage, because that's the same. That's technically what you're saying. You're not, what you're preaching, you're not doing. You're actually doing something else. You're not helping, because you're herding it from one end to buy more preferred equity to help yours. In the pursuit, at least, of doing so. Because if the judge comes out and a new settlement proposal comes out, all these clowns that sold their common shares, or even some of their common shares, would literally feel like the biggest monkeys in the world. Biggest idiots in the world. What do you guys think? You tell me now. I've rambled on for. I just said, I wanted to talk about a what if, because we will look at a chart or two before we leave from here. But what do you guys think? Let's see what you guys are saying in here. Yeah. I'm holding my AMC and Ape. Still live. I still have added both and often. There you go, Mensa. See, that's a true ape. Oh, menace. Sorry. That's a true ape right there. No one can say anything about and nothing, and no one can say anything about that. You add more to this and you add more to that. And you're not selling either this or either that. No one can say anything about something like this. You truly are a real ape. You taking care of the company and yourself in this case. You're not putting the company over your own best interest, and you're also taking, you're not letting them take advantage of you. See, keep your eye on the prize, AMC, the original play. Don't let them confuse you with other shiny things. Yeah, right? Never sold a share of AMC, but I did get more ape. Unfortunately, before it was below $1. It was a bad move on my part. Hey, Patriot, listen. Think of it from your position. Look at this. A lot of people I see online on the community, they preach all this smart this and smart this and smart that. Listen, there's people I know, and personally, I've been involved in some trades that are just like your socks off. These people specifically. What I'm trying to get to 1796 Patriot is in the time of a MOAS or a squeeze, $1 or $2 or $3 are gonna be it's gonna be something that you're not gonna even like. You're not gonna be thinking in that mindset. You're just gonna be like, yes, here we go. You're not gonna feel that because it's gonna be just ludicrous. So think of it like this from your position. If the arbitrage goes as is, the reverse split goes as is, and all that, well, you did good for yourself. You bought more of the arbitrage, and you get more shares now after they get reverse split and then converged. Now you have more AMC, and if AMC was to squeeze after that, then you would have still more shares. It doesn't matter for $1 or $2 or $3 or even $4 more. You would not be thinking about that when a squeeze comes around. You would be like, yes, thank God. And that's one of your scenarios. The other scenario is if they do this, what we were talking about here tonight, other scenario, then you haven't sold a single share of your single one of your common shares. You might be upset a little bit. You might be like, oh, you know what? Could have just been, piling on more common shares had I known. But again, that's the way of life. No one knows the future. In some cases, they do shorts, the institutes, because somebody always tells somebody something before it happens, and we're always obviously last to know. So, don't beat yourself for it about that, because I personally still, in my book, you're a very great and amazing ape. Exactly, 1796. When you said, like, you didn't think of that, you thought of it that is going to be an equal value. Like in that comment, when you bought and thought that ape was going to be of equal value within a few weeks. Yeah, exactly. And that's what most people did. That's why I was talking about that whole story, because I needed people to see the things like unfold the way they did, because I personally think that it's not just the stocks thing that is working the way that it did. It's someone's or some entity that is making it unravel like that, because they were not rattling us. They were not shaking us. Nobody was selling their shares. The only way to do so was with you heard the whole topic. We're not going to repeat now the whole topic, but that's the way. And I started thinking about it this way. Like, what if this is a scenario? Why? They first came back and did that, 7.5, for every 7.5, you get one, but only for common shares, not for preferred shares. I was like, okay, that's odd. You think when you just center that idea, that's odd. Like, just for, well, it was like you said right there, it was equal. It was 1-to-1 when it was delivered initially. So why aren't they doing the same thing for preferred equity as well? So ultimately, Would there be another offer that makes it sweeter for common shareholders? Perhaps God knows what the sky is for that. Time will tell in a few days. Thank you, thank you. Exactly. Talk the talk, but don't walk the walk. Then they point fingers and say, oh, proud. LA, tomorrow we find out on the special master report. Praying for good news. Yes, LA. Definitely praying for good news. Now, let's see. There aren't any questions right here. Tell me, guys, what do you guys want to see with you guys want to see a chart? You guys want to see SPY chart or something? I mean, normally this is the stuff that I do to make my own trades. Boldly, I said last week that Tesla and slash Facebook will continue running and make yearly highs, 52-week highs, and they have almost. Tesla still yet to be seen, but Nvidia have, Facebook definitely have. The SPY is almost there, and I also bullishly said that the SPY will make a new, not only 52-week high, but an all-time high soon, but it will be short-lived. Drops back down, and I'm also tonight saying bullishly that bearishly that the next drop on the SPY, major drop on the SPY after the the breakage, if what I'm thinking happens according, it will be something that falls below the 350 340 levels, knowing that we're it's over 100 something drop. That's massive. I think that's what will happen sometime before this year, perhaps by the end of this year. NSPMC trades. Do you see GME running to triple digits again? I think it's very possible. I will tell you this, my opinion, not financial advice, Menace. AMC or GME, GME already did it once, and they were already in the 400 something. And even then, that wasn't the most for GME or in general for the community. For the 440, had there been some BS suspension and taking out the buy button and all that stuff, GME was well poised to go to fucking 4 digits. Yes, I've said it in 2023. People, that was the trend back in. Now, in 2023, all of a sudden, you say something like this and it's like, oh, fucking chill and wild and all that. But no, I stick by my statement because the fundamentals of making the price of a share, the way that it works is the short can't choose the price. We choose the price in an event of a margin call / short squeeze that the shorts have to buy majority of the shares from us. They're not buying them from another entity or an institution. Institutions, since they have much bigger positions, they tend to go with lesser amounts. So like if an institution takes a massive position of whatever, like 10 million shares in a company at $20 or $20, kind of like similar like GME at this point. If GME was to run to 35, 40, guess what? These institutions having these tens of millions of shares, majority of that position will be unloaded. Now, the reason why I'm so big on these higher numbers for the community, for us, is because these shorts, they're not in an institution only. Institutions are only a small, or they're only a part of this equation. Majority of the shares they have to buy are from retail, and we're not as, our positions are not as big as institutions. We don't have 10 million or 20 million shares of stock, of GME, for example, like Ryan Cohen. So therefore, Once we what our expectations are much higher than what these institutes are, and rightfully so, because of the size of our positions and the fact that we know that, hey, in order for you, like, you need what I have. I'm not gonna give it unless you give me the right price. Sky's the limit at that point. Mix it in with some option calls. I'm not telling you to do this, but I'm saying, like, if our, as a retail community, because this is what happened with GME in early part of 2021, January. They were piling up on option calls, and they were exercising many of them, forcing the market maker, not just the shorts, to buy shares to cover, but on the other end, there's a market maker who's buying shares because many people were exercising. So he was forced to go and buy shares as the price is going up. So shorts are buying, price is going sky high. The market maker is also buying bunch of millions of shares because people are exercising options. So it was the perfect combination of gas and fire. And both the market maker and the shorts were being skewed in that fire at that time. Both are basically helping the fire get worse and worse and worse. And the main beneficiary to the whole madness was us, retail, the investors. Now, with that being said, there is, I know for this month, I was looking at like major transactions for like GME and AMC and stuff like that, like looking through the options chain. I saw that basically there was a couple of what looks like institutes that were buying like puts AMC, and there was not much on GME, but there was some puts. That there were that they were basically the sentiment of this stock from now until at least the end of this month. They're basically pricing in a down movement. Now, it's not far out of the money. So like from looking at that, like with the consolidation on these prices of these puts, or that they're buying, they're not buying, like, for example, on AMC, they're buying the $4, $5 put, which means it's not like too far out of the money. Most of them as an institute, that's what lets me know it's an institute, buying it off the $5. Versus with GME, it's like already in the put is already in the money. So they're just pricing in, putting more stress on the stock price, as if it was to go down, they would sell more of their exercise to sell even more their puts, because they're already in the money as far as the put. You see what I'm saying? So they just want to basically take care of that. So that's just for this near term. Now, all that could change in one night, in one day. I'm just looking at the daily options chain and how it's changing. Now, one thing I did report late yesterday was there was some crazy consolidation. And by the way, guys, I have to give you another point. First, before I get into this point, San Diego laundromats, AB, just want to let you know the video you did on the moving averages was awesome lesson. Thanks, I learned a lot. You explained it perfectly. Well, this is what I do it for, guys. This right there made my whole entire day and night. So, San Diego laundromats, much love, and thank you so much for the kind words. And I'm glad that I was able to get that over. And there's more on the line. Don't think that that's the only thing, guys. You want it, you got it. And if AB's got it, you will have it. Now, let me tell you guys this. My thought. It's too busy. San Diego, you got my mind off. 1796 Patriots, what are your thoughts about the powers that not allowing the stocks get to the level of the potential? Well, 1796, the thing is with that is they could do what they did. They could do that. However, they can't do it alone. Don't think, guys, again, there are many, I think in my humble opinion, there's many, with all the respect, many channels out there, very many social media sources that are giving people so much so much FUD and ill advised and no knowledge at all. It's just so mind boggling. The fact that this has been going on for about 3 years almost now, it's not short hedge funds that are doing this to us only. It's not just the market maker that is doing this to us only. It doesn't take a genius to understand that there is a lot of complicit. This is the world that we live in. This is capitalism. I'm going to do a favor for you. It's in it. And then we both will keep it on the hush hush together. That's how it works. So if I was a broker and I was going to send all these orders to you, Mr. Market Maker, why would I do that? To help you reroute those same orders to dark pools so that the price of the stock does not get, it doesn't go through the lit market. What's in it for me? The market maker needs that transaction, but the broker is saying, why? Why do I need to do that? The broker is your custodian. You know why? That's when the market maker comes and says, you know what? Here's a payment for your payment for. Now the broker is saying, okay, now when you say it like that, okay, I'll get along with it. But then the market makers tell the broker, hey, the brokers after January 1st of 2021, they were like, hey, what's happening here? We're over leveraged. There's too many shares that are being exercised and that we have to get, because the market maker said, I don't have these shares. I don't have this and don't have that. Guess what? It pulled the buy button. And what was at that moment craziest thing, and it is still crazy, and he still lied. Ken Griffin lied, and it was proved with the messages, and also did the Robin Vlad. So at that point, the broker said, you know what? I'm going to rat you. I'm going to rat you out to Congress. I'm going to go meet Congress, and they're going to let me have it, which is what they did to Robinhood guy. You know what the market maker told him? Kenny Griffin probably. He's like, well, if you tell them, that's you incriminating yourself. We're in this together now, pretty boy. I guarantee you that's literally what happened. So now they're all complicit and they're all in it together, but in the same time, it's all about the money. Because they're protected by so many bylaws and LLC corporations and all that stuff. So therefore, they'll be like, if you're paying me just to send you these shares and these orders or these people's money your way, send it. Hell yeah, I'll take it. Now, moving on from the market maker, what about the SEC? What's in it for them? Again, this is all hypothetical. This is it's not factual. This is just my thoughts. I don't want to go to prison tonight or tomorrow because we know how they go about things. But what's in it possibly for them to not go in and bust who it is? At it and see that most of these SEC commissioners / employees, they get employed after they serve. In fact, they make little money compared to the millions they can make once they leave their job, similar to what I showed you in the last live, when that senior level law advisor from the past SEC commissioner is now working the head advising legal advisor for Citadel. And we see how they're paying that one chick who's trying to take over from Gary Gensler. What's her name? Heather? We made an episode about her. Talked a lot about her. Exposed the shit out of her. What about the feds? What's in it for them? Well, they're doing repo and reverse repo on a daily basis. They're freaking making a killing in repo and reverse repo operation fees. And they also get to buy more and more, get more assets. They get to control the nation, get a better grip nation. So that's what's in it when you, as you said, 1796 Patriots. Um, what are your thoughts about the powers that be not allowing the stock to? It's not just one; it's the system. That's why I've always said we're going against the entire system, and it's sad that it's that way. But I would have it no other way, since I know it's with you, with you people. We're here now. We might as well do it. That's all I care about. That's all I know. We're here. We might as well do it. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to our families. We owe it to our loved ones. There was something that I was going to get into before I read that question. What was it? I might remember now when I'm reading these comments. Hopefully that made sense. Or that answered the question, Patriot. Alan Kamaski, what's up, brother? Long time no see. AA said, here you go. There are some dividends we haven't even created yet. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. And the DTCC, SCCE, Congress, there you go. That's exactly it. AB Investments, GM. Brother. Good morning, brother. Like over here, GM. I'm thinking you're going to say GME. What's up, Darren? Good morning to you, sir. Wall Street needs a whole makeover. Yeah, every 8 to 12 years it happens. We guys, like, I can, like, if you guys are interested in even knowing the stories in detail, happened and exactly the Enron, collapse, 2008 housing market crash, 86 crash. Like if you guys want to know, like, this stuff excites me. So I know all these things by literally almost to the dot or to the T details. And one thing that you would know, if I ever get into these stories to tell you guys about each one and stuff, you'll see one thing particularly common or in rhythm, all of those, is that there was always an entity, someone, or a system that was over leveraged on something different. Like, it's just so mind boggling that it will disturb, like, it will make you sick to your stomach, and it's these times and these days are no different. This is literally history, not repeating itself, but rhyming, just on a much crazier scale. Ha! There we go. Adrian is in the house. What's up, brother? How are you doing? Yep, late night. I can't remember. Now it's gonna bug me. There was something I was gonna start talking about before I read that one question. Is it? Indeed, 1796. Indeed, it was just a continuation. Let's see. Trying to see if I could upload a chart or something background to show you guys something about the spy. However, I gotta remember what the hell I was gonna get into. What I was gonna say before jumping into that question. It's gonna bother me. It's gonna bug me, I swear. Indeed, Darren. Indeed. The 1% is the system. They want to keep us exactly where we are. It's not in their interest to in interest for us to become rich. Of course, 1000%, brother. Indeed, another Ponzi scheme. Okay. I think Oh, look at this. Owning the float. Good morning, brother. How are you doing, my friend? Appreciate the kind gesture. You are the man, sir. Hold on. Wait for it. Wait for it. What's up, guys? Got him. Big Mike. Indeed. All right, so we got this right there in front of us. So I want you guys to look at a few things here first. This is the SPY's, chart. This is the. We'll talk about more. Trust me. Maybe I could remember what we were talking about. What I was going to get into saying while we're doing this. Take my averages here. Okay, so we made it completely clean now. All right. So look at this, guys. There's nothing like there's no technical indicators to this or any of that. The one thing I want to focus on is if you take a look at this, and this is the SPY since literally like looking back here since 2018, okay, the beginning of 2018. One thing I want you to look at, and this is what AB looks for, and a trend that I've seen even since 2008. Let's look back. You know, the SPY and the SBDR was literally like it originated back in 1993. That was a big thing. And in fact, it's a big reason. This right here is a big reason for why BlackRock is BlackRock as we know it today, or even Vanguard, because these were the ways that they were able to become $10 trillion managing corporations, like hedge funds, not hedge funds, asset managers. What's his name? The guy from BlackRock, Luke Fink. And when he like, and we could sit down, like we could talk one day about the stories of like his story and how he came about and how he was like always like crazy, and he's literally was created by the Blackstone, which was something Bernstein and Bernstein or Bernstein. And then he became the guy that he became. But this right here, the SBDR and ETFs and index funds and all that stuff is what made them $1 trillion. What today made them become a $10 trillion asset manager. Because simply they figured out a way away from the 80s. They figured out that, okay, in the early 90s, which is when this came about in 1990, they figured out that we can grow bigger by it's instead of handling bigger clients and bigger amounts, less transactions, they started funding, or they started implying the way of volume, more like I rather have if I had a restaurant, neighbor had a restaurant, my idea could be I can raise my prices and sell less, but make more on each transaction, versus my neighbor could take the other route and do this, bring down their price to lure more people to buy. So like more selling for a lesser ticket, but perhaps by doing so, my neighbor now is making a lot more money because he's bringing in a lot more transactions. And that's what these BlackRocks and the Vanguards did at the time. And eventually now, from the 90s until now, they just figured out that by tapping into more pockets, everyone, and reach and retail even, they can have it, money into a basket that could have 1,000. You can have like exposure to 1,000 companies all in one basket for one price. We'll get into more topics like this if you guys want in the future, maybe perhaps after AMC. But okay, focus on here on this. Look, the SPY have seemed to always make all-time freaking highs, no matter what happens. Okay, a crash happens. Like, look here, in 2020, when the COVID shutdown happens, you can see this huge, down price action. And guess what? The SPY rebounds and, as always, does the same thing that it does. It makes a run for it. One thing I want to show you is, by knowing that it always does that, here we seem that we reached a peak, obviously, all the way from 2020 to the end of 2021. Literally, the end of 2021, we reached a peak, which was at the time high around 468, 78. And then from the beginning of 2022, we had the 2022 price action of dropping. Guess what? We get here. Now, along the way, we have made a lot of, like, we had many rips since 2020 that were unattended, and we'll get into that in a bit. And what do I mean by gaps? And when we went through 2022 all the way almost to the end of it in October, September, October, started rebounding back, and here, this was the change point. Literally in October of 2022, the SPY, this is on a macro level, looking at it like not just from the daily or any of that, looking at the big picture. We saw that it started changing the direction or the price trend of the movement that it was in. So this was a 10-month long. Even if it went up, it went back right back down. But this right here ripped out of any resistance level that you see there. So we could easily have a little like this, like we could have a little, draw it right there. Could have like little red actions right here, but then continue to do this. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like you get the point of this line, like continue to do something like that, similar to what it's doing here, what it's doing there, what it's doing there, but ultimately it's making higher highs and higher lows. Let me delete these weird two lines out of the screen real quick. Since we know the long-term trend for the SPY has been constantly going for new highs, we've been in a bearish trend for the entirety of 2022. Now we have a new breakout from the resistance levels that we had here. Now, one thing we do have is the support around right there. This second, let's change this from the 5-year. You're looking at this when I'm right here. This is on the monthly time frame. As you can see here, we reached a peak of 443, and that was breaking this resistance level right here. the 435 level. And breaking through this, like as you can see, we came down here. Now, here's the crazy thing. Where we at right now is at 437.18. Okay, right there. If we were to come down, bounce off of 435, see, this is a crucial level that I'm looking into for the remainder of this week. If we were to come down and break underneath it, then at that point, it would insinuate to me that basically be making a new trend of lower lows and lower highs, obviously, from right just on a monthly base. And then at that point, I would imagine that we'll be going down to close many gaps. So along this movement of bullish action in the past 8 to 9 months, that we've served like a lot of gaps. And one thing about charts is the price action. It does not like gaps. Charts don't like gaps. They always come back to fill them. I'll show you guys right here. I was to put 3-month. As you guys can see here, we got a gap in the 438 level up to the 443. Got a gap in between the charts between the 428, 28.59. Then we got another gap between 420.67 and 420.82. These are all important levels, by the way. Then this is the most important one. There's a huge gap basically from here, from the 420s, down to 399 to the 427. See this? And then eventually you see here we have the 395. There's a gap. There's another gap at 37. Then there is even more if we go back in the time frame. Let's say I put it at the 1 year time frame. Bear with me. See, like there was, for example, this gap right here. You see these are very visible. Guess what? Covered them right there after the drop. Eventually. Yes, 728. Like basically a month after they were initiated, we create them. That doesn't mean that that's exactly the time frame that it happens in. But the most last gap that I had was down 392 level. This is important because, again, charts don't like gaps. Candles don't like gaps. Once we see these, they tend to always go back and fill in the blank, basically. What do we mean by gaps? Basically, there was a rip. You can clearly see it on the chart where you see like gaps between the bars. See, this is a Weeble chart. You can even see it way more clearly on the trading view for you guys. This is probably going to make the stream even a little bit slower. If it does, it does. It doesn't, because I opened this tab right here. So the internet and I also got to share it first before I just forgot about you guys. Okay. SPY. This thing is so freaking slow, man. This is crazy. It only started doing this recently, too. Definitely not. Look at Tesla chart. Everything I said about Tesla and nividia, that's exactly what I'm just going to say about. Even going through this one, right? It's like that. Crazy part is I still can't remember what I was going to get into saying before I did that one question. Okay. Perfect. Choose the time. See, this is what I wanted to show you guys right there. This is just in the past 3 months. Close this. These are moving averages and like side stuff like that. You see that right there from here to here? You see that gap on the chart? They're visible. Those are the same levels that I was just reading to you over from my other chart. They're a lot more visible on TradingView. TradingView is a lot more convenient when it comes to that. Now, another thing I want to show you guys was remember the people that day trading, for example, RSI is an important indicator for you because this shows you where the relativity of strength of how the stock, that particular stock, whatever it is, whether it's an ETF, an index, individual stock, and how where it's trading at. So, for example, when I see something like this, you see this number, you're like probably saying like, oh, is this like RSI is at like 46 or 53. You got to remember for AB, whenever I see an RSI that's near the 30s, the bottom 30s or so whatever, this is when I get enticed to make a position, enter to a stock. When I see it in the upper 70s or in the 70s or in the up or in the 60s, let's say in the 70s or above, that's when I choose to obviously either sell or get out of that particular position if I had already one inside of it, or perhaps understand that is a perfect position for me to try to buy what's on a particular stock. It doesn't have to be obviously all on a daily basis. Again, this is not financial advice. This is just how the RSI basically works. This is from my experience. I've seen it that 30s, that's when the stock is at just about its all-time lows. The 3 month or whatever time period you're using on the charts. Let's say if we use the yearly, you'll see that we are 66, which means we are at a high point, which we are in price value. Now, if you look here, back in September 26th of 2022, this was at $28.99 or $30 basically, $29, not dollars, sorry, but the points, 29 points, 28.56, which reflects in my book to a stock being very low in value. And when we look here on the chart, you see that, the SPY were definitely at that same time was at a very low point. It was around the 350s and the 360s. It was at the highs in RSI when it was like in the 60s, 50s. You look up, you'll see that the price action will be reflective to it. Again, rightfully so, since it is the relative, the strength, the RSI of the stock, which is basically the movement of the stock. Let's see. Darren, I agree. Again, as I said, I still see Tesla perhaps breaking the $3 zone, getting really close to it relatively soon. Dre B, so are you saying you think the MOAS is canceled for AMC? Did you just walk in, Dre? because there was no part where AB have said MOAS is canceled here. Dan Rodriguez. Yeah, unfortunately, our international apes are unfortunately getting the short end of the stick. This whole process, or with everything in general, when it comes to this whole process. I've gotten more postcards than anybody can ever think. I got personally, just me, gotten 2 postcards when I was supposed to really only get one, like two from TD Ameritrade. Yeah, so I got 3 cards when really in reality I should have only received, because all my shares are only in one main account. I do as far as my business, as far as doing like my day trades and everything, that's perhaps not even AMC. Like I do every day, I deal a lot with Webull. Of Webull. I always advocate with not to buy obviously AMC shares or long positions in general. I do love Webull for is the platform they have option trading. It's amazing. Now, unfortunately, recently they started charging options trading, but before they didn't used to. So I'd have to look for the next best thing. That's what I used to love about them. They have pre-market and aftermarket hours all available. I used to like that, and they're all free, no fees, especially on the options chain. So why not? They first started by starting to charge or beginning to charge the index funds, like, or maybe like the SPX, the S&P, basically 500, Dow Jones, and so on and so forth. See, the crazy thing is we also have now like looking at the levels where other stocks are at, like the I think it was, I was looking at Crown, what's their name, that car company, Caravana on the charts looks crazy wild. Like it looks like it's gonna break crazy. There's a few like a few, let me see, few stocks that I have positions in, and some that I don't, that I have on my base. Oh, the beautiful thing was actually Coinbase. Coinbase made a really nice move today. I had some option calls on that. Still, I actually didn't sell them because I think it still can do better. Good with Tesla and Nvidia. Then there is, I got some really cool positions in the SQQ and the VIX. It's just they're already in the profit. It's just now it's a matter of being just more greedy. Nividia is in a little bit in the red right now. Not for long. Got some puts in that. Yeah, there was what's their name? Saber, yes. Saber have some really interesting setup. And honestly, I don't even care or even know what the company exactly does. I might have overread it a long time ago, but I just know by looking at the technicals of it, seeing options chain also on a stock a lot tells me most of the times 90% of what I need to know, because I'm not getting into that stock for a long term, ever like trying to buy this for a 2 or 3 or something, tire on this or something. So I don't need to go waste hours, my day just trying to read the financials of this whatever particular stock. Radwan, what's up, brother? Long time no speak. How you been? AB is still trying to remember what he was gonna get into. What was I gonna talk about? You guys tell me. Some word. Hell yeah. There's gonna be a way where Darren. There's gonna be a way where they'll find a mutual common grounds between Citadel and BlackRock, because they do a lot of business together. They're partners in some projects. Unless the overall deep state plan is to, eventually take down Kenny G, get him arrested, rightfully so, take down his whole empire, and have Luke Fink face him. I mean, out of anybody else, the people that I could see that could be in place of Kenny G as like the face of markets is either, yes, like Fink, Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon has a really cool story too, like crazy story. But we'll get into that some other crazy story for how he came up, fell right back down because he got betrayed, still came right back up and became the number one guy in the world. All at the expense of Citigroup. Oh, okay. Screw the music. All right. Let's see. Give it another 5 minutes to remember. If I don't remember, I'll probably remember it by tomorrow. I was exactly gonna say. Um, but in that meantime, you guys can go ahead and shout out your questions. And I almost dropped the whole stream. I still cutting out. Testing, testing. Caravana is doing really wild. Like the setup is really bullish. That'd be wild if they're bringing up the entire market. Okay, thank you for Yucca. Thanks, Shirley. That'll be wild if they're bringing the entire market before they, let us go loose, because they know if we're like, we bank like wild on this play, whichever play that you're in, whether GME, AMC, or any other meme stock, then the natural thing that most people will do is they go and jump into the big market cap stocks or stocks in general in the market. So that'd be crazy if they're propping up the market for it's our turn for a small. They drop the market again. But if that's the case, then the next drop won't be just a normal. About the 80 gap on SPY. Chances of that getting filled. I haven't seen that, honestly. 1796 Patriot. I haven't seen that. It's a possibility. I'm not going to open up the chart now, because if I do, then it's going to slow up this whole thing. It's going to take forever to open it. But I'll look at it and update you next time we come on. Sure. Guys, to keep about testimonies of Jerome Powell tomorrow and Thursday. I'm seeing a lot of shrooms in this chat. How was the fires that were happening in Canada going on? Is it still going on, or is it all over with family in here? It's crazy. But it's good from the fires, Canada. You guys hear about, like, I know you guys heard about JP, paying the, like, settling with the Epstein victims for like 200+ million dollars. But by the way, there was another bank that also set the, like, just recently settled. I think it was last week. They settled so with victims as well. Which bank was it? I think I can find it right now. That's crazy. They only talk about the JP Morgan settlement. They're not the other bank. There was another bank that did a settlement as well. That is correct, Darren. There was another one. Oh, that's good to know, Shirley, that it's not as bad anymore. Yep, Deutsche Bank. And so Deutsche Bank also settled for 75 million. Wow. Another thing that is kind of like I think it's a cool last thing before I go, because I have to up get to do my thing tomorrow. Get right around that time. But I'm gonna I'm gonna have to wake up at the market hours. But however, another thing I want to leave you guys with is, believe it or not, the best, and we can get into this deeper if you like, in some other lives. The best place to save your money, let alone grow your money, statistically speaking, is actually in it or not. It's been more profitable and much better than even gold. You know, that's what all these major institutions like J.P. Morgan and these like rich folks and crowds and all that, they store all their wealth in, like, in these paintings and arts, that stuff that only grows in value and holds its value, retains its value much higher than anything else, even more than gold, guys. You need to hear anything else? So after Moas, if you got like 100 or $200-300 million laying around, just buy you a Mona Lisa. Take care of it. Financial advice, nor art advice. uh. All right, family. I think I've taken way more than enough of your time. Thank you all for obviously being. It's 33 people, at this hour here with me. This is probably the first time we ever did this at this hour. Live tomorrow. I'm not falling for that, Patriot. I once again, I am very, 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 very humbly obviously giving me 3 hours of your time and your life. Thank you as well, Yaka. And hopefully you've gotten entertained and hopefully away with something from this live as well. Again, I needed to get all that stuff out. I needed to say all what I had to say here, and hopefully made some sense. And hopefully I wasn't misunderstood. Because at the end of the day, my intentions are all well, and basically make sure that as much of this community gets to the land of milk and honey, along either with me or everyone else. The more the merrier, because we deserve this. We deserve this. It's I can't. I just don't like injustice, and what's been done to us is the most highest level, or the highest level of justice that you could even think of. Again, with that being said, this was supposed to be a walkthrough stream because it was supposed to be tomorrow, not today. But since the scheduling happened, I'm gonna have to speak to my manager, and which is me. Tell him like you gotta do a better job. Make sure you next time you look at the stream. But guess what? Funnest things in life or the best things in life sometimes comes at you fast or unexpected. So I didn't know walking into this exactly everything that I was going to talk. I didn't have no agenda. I just came. I had to say what I had to say. Did, and I also, in the pursuit of doing so, I forgot some of the things that I was supposed to say. Thanks to you, Patriot 1796. Shirley, thank you. Thanks to all the mods. Thank you, Jam Bands. Thanks everybody. Adrian, thanks for seeing this, who saw this tonight, was here also live with me tonight. You guys are the best people or community any person could ever wish to have or be amongst, and be proud to consider you guys their community. So, or part of their community. It's your guys' community. And I want to thank all the people that are going to see this at a later time, maybe tomorrow up. And hopefully this does not, ruin their day after they see it. Have pension funds and Ranchi have to prove ownership by June 23rd. Yep. Lot more things coming up. Have a nice one, LA. To everybody else, again, I stretched it as much as possible. 3 hours. Once again, much love. Enjoy the volatility tomorrow. Enjoy Jerome Powell and the testimony. Fun. If you make somebody, bless you. If you don't, also God bless you. You still got AMC and you still got the rest of the family. Much love, AB Investments.